So,
I'm just 6 and 7.
Well, but I mean, you know, your powers are.
Bill, you're absolutely right. Look, I'm not Obama's biggest fan. I supported him. I'm an independent, but I'm critical of many aspects of him. When Obama came to office, there were 700,000 people a month who are losing their jobs.
A month.
A month. So to say that 88,000 is not good, yeah, but compared to what? Now, the truth is,
and those numbers have been better in the last many months.
Absolutely,
but it's been too slow. I would argue. I feel like growth is. I think you would agree as well.
But absolutely. But why too slow? Because Obama didn't propose.
Because there's too much uncertainty in the marketplace. Because small businesses, corporations are not wanting to invest here.
How come? I mean, this term "fiscal cliff" that we heard so much. You know, it's so funny. When Bush was in office, there was 2 wars we didn't pay for. The prescription drug program we didn't pay for. The tax cuts for billionaires we didn't pay for. Nobody ever mentioned fiscal cliff. Somehow we weren't going off the cliff then.
Well, because back then the deficits were about 300 or 400 billion. Now they're $1 trillion. I mean, they're 2 or 3 times bigger now, so they're much more dangerous.
In terms of the deficit, Bill, you got to look at 2 issues. You're absolutely right. You have to acknowledge, when you go to war, where were all the deficit hawks when we gave tax breaks to billionaires? Where was the Wall Street Journal when we went to 2 wars and forgot to pay for it?
You keep saying that we cut taxes. In the years that George Bush was president, the tax revenues went way up. They didn't go down.
Well, we cut taxes for the very wealthiest people in this country.
Well, we cut their rates, and this is what my book is about. When you cut their rates, actually, their contribution to the economy went up.
Maybe your last book, I don't know.
Well, you haven't even read it yet.
Okay, but all right, let me get to this. Now, Steve, you claim in the book that the middle class is somehow larger and richer than it was in the 70s, and yet I read a headline in the Washington Post last fall that said, census middle class shrinks to an all-time low.
Okay, so what's going on here is if you look at the period from around 1980 till around 2005, that was the greatest boom period for the middle class in history. You saw huge increases.
From when?
From around 1980 to around 2005, before the market crash.
I've heard differently about that.
I mean, the statistics are come from the Census Bureau. But here's the interesting part about this. The candidate of the middle class in the last 2 presidential elections, Barack Obama, under his presidency, according to the census data that just came out last week, the average middle-class family in America, Senator Sanders, has lost $4,200 in income. I mean, that's a huge loss. What we're doing right now, Bill, isn't working for American
and they're the
families.
backbone of our economy. Right. When the economy is thriving, the middle class is thriving.
But here's what else is going on. You're right. Middle class is absolutely declining.
Right.
For young people, unemployment is atrociously high.
Right.
What we need is to create millions of jobs by, among other things, rebuilding our infrastructure, transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel, putting people back to work, rebuilding America.
What about a little more? What about some certainty in the marketplace? When we talk about companies investing here, I mean, when you talk about uncertainty, nothing's getting done in Washington. You have to agree with that. Nothing's getting done. You know, the tax code needs to be looked at. Too many regulations.
When you talk about uncertainty, and you talk about the market, who is the market? Are you talking about Wall Street, which is sitting on $1 trillion in cash, not investing it in small and medium-sized business, helping us create the jobs? You're talking about big money interests putting their money in the Cayman Islands and other tax havens rather than reinvesting in the United States of America.
Okay, but look, Senator, you just said you want to create new infrastructure in this country.
Yes, that's
and
correct.
You want jobs.
Yes.
And yet you are one of the senators who is opposed to building the Keystone Pipeline, which is about 10,000 high-paying union jobs. There's not a single argument against that.
What a small price to pay for everybody dying. What a 10,000 jobs.
We're going to die if we build a Keystone Pipeline.
Well, yes, actually, but you're not a scientist, are you?
I'm not a scientist.
And not an economist either. But okay, let's just. You are an economist? Okay, but the Bush thing didn't turn out too good. Okay.